Hey there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter, along with my friend Kathy, for Ask a Crafter on this fine April Fool's Day.
Yes, and there's sunshine. I
know, that's the big joke!
No,
Usually we have a big snowstorm on April 1st, but we have sun. I just hope that's not a joke. I hope it's like the real deal. So were your kids up early this morning for April Fool's Day?
No.
Oh, the twins were up at 5:30. Oh yes, they're not going to miss the opportunity to pull pranks on their brother, so...
Wow.
Oh yes, yes. I get up and
even remember.
Oh, I get up and there's breakfast laid out for me. Here, Mom, we made you breakfast. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm not eating anything my kids make for me on April Fool's Day. No way. And poor Jackson, he got something. I don't know. They made him something for breakfast, and I saw him rinsing out his cup. And
oh no.
Oh yeah, they were.
Maybe I'm feeling bad now that I didn't do anything.
You know, I just read an article about how it was on Huffington Post. If you want to go check it out, it's about, and the title was that I'm done making my kids' childhood magical, and it talks about how kids' childhoods are generally magical anyway, and if we overplan their parties and we we like set up elaborate crafts and projects for them to do,
they can't deal with reality.
They turn into spectators in their own life and not participants.
Yep.
So I'm like that. You know, now I don't feel so bad that I give my kids a big box of art supplies and say, "Have at it, kids. Have fun. Go for it." I'm not, I haven't planned anything. So
yeah.
Let them do their thing. All right, I don't have any comments, so let's go to questions.
Okay. Eileen asks, can you please explain the difference in hot press and cold press paper? And in what instances do you use hot press, and in what instance would you use cold press?
Hot press paper is smooth. It's been pressed with think of a hot press hot iron. It's been pressed smooth. You'd use that if you're rubber stamping or if you're painting and you wanted really good detail in a painting. Cold press is your more natural, your more common paper. It's got a slight texture to it. It's not as textured as rough. It's kind of like your middle of the road, and it's more of your all-purpose watercolor paper. That's what I use most of the time for painting. I occasionally will use rough if I want something with a really intense texture, like if I'm painting a landscape or something. And if I was rubber stamping, I would want a hot press for that smooth, so my stamp would, press it against the paper.
The whole design,
Yeah, just smoothness.
Okay, and Barbara asks, I have some ink for refilling inkjet printer cartridges. I was wondering if you have any suggestions for using it for other crafting, card making, etc. I gave up doing the refill thing, but don't want to waste it either.
Sure. Like if you had like distress ink pads, you could take the printer ink and add a little glycerin to it, and probably even a little bit of water because it's really concentrated, and refill your ink pads. You can mix your own colors and refill your markers, add a little glycerin to that too so it'll glide really well. Practice your color theory. You could get like a little, I don't know, maybe like a little ice cube tray, a white ice cube tray, and mix up your colors and then, refill your markers. You can use it for, you really wouldn't be alcohol ink, but you could use it on glossy cardstock, not photo paper, but glossy cardstock, and pounce it on and get the alcohol ink look. So yeah, use it anytime you would use a re-inker, really, or a liquid watercolor.
Deborah asks, hi Lindsay, can 91% alcohol and or 100% acetone be used in lieu of denatured alcohol for thinning, refreshing alcohol ink pads and pens?
Well, don't use the acetone. Every liquid has its own solvent. So like watercolors, water would be the solvent. So alcohol markers, alcohol is a solvent. Xylene markers, like chart pack markers, xylene is a solvent. Lacquers and like your nail polish, acetone is a solvent. So acetone isn't going to do anything for alcohol-based things. You need to have the actual solvent. Denatured alcohol is very potent. I have found that the drugstore alcohol just doesn't work as well for a lot of the craft applications. You could use it for blending solution on like if you're doing like a polished stone background, but it does not work as well as denatured alcohol. So, you could use it for cleaning up glass before you paint on it. You can use it for stuff like that. And it'll, I just wouldn't use it for like, you couldn't like refresh a StazOn ink pad with it very well. It's got too much water in it. It's not as concentrated as denatured alcohol is.
Okay, Stephanie says, I have some old water-based markers. I am wanting alcohol markers for a long time. My budget won't let me buy them for some time. I was wanting to know if I add some alcohol to these older pens, will it work?
I really don't think it would be your best solution. I think you'd be better off to go to like Sam's Club or Staples and get a set of the 36 Bic markets. They're beautiful markers, and they're at Sam's Club they're $14 for the set of 36, and they were a little bit more. I think they were around 20 at Staples or Target. And sometimes on the Bic Market Facebook page they'll have coupons, so check there first. I would get those and get a few lighter colors of Sharpies. You don't have to spend a ton of money to get a good a good variety of markers to play with. I think you might take the old water-based markers and add a little like inker to them, so you can still use them as water-based markers. But I think you'd be disappointed if you tried to add alcohol. I think you'd just end up with kind of streaky messes.
Okay, and I have the Bic markers that Lindsay actually got for me, and I haven't really done much as far as coloring, but they're great markers.
Yeah.
When I have used them, because I've used them to make the baker's twine and stuff, they work well. They are brighter, so you would need a couple lighter ones, but...
And even if you decide that, oh, well, I really, you get some money or, birthday money or whatever, and you decide that you want to buy, the better markers, those Bics can always be used with all those other markers.
With them. You've done very well showing how they blend together. And the Spectrum Noir you can get at AC Moore with coupons.
Exactly,
too.
and they go on sale like 50% off quite a bit as well. So I do think I would give the edge to the Bics only because if you leave the cap off, they have a long cap off time. So, that's... and
they do. My kids use them, so they've done very well. Terry says, I am trying to decide which markers I want to invest in. I have a few Copic sketch markers and a couple of Spectrum Noir. The only ones I don't have are Tim Holtz Distress markers. Of those three, what's your opinion?
Well, those are very different markers.
Right.
Tim Holtz,
water.
Yeah, they're watercolor markers. I know everyone's crazy about the Tim Holtz markers. I have a few. I'm not crazy about them. I found problems with the ink kind of clumping up on them. It's weird. So I really prefer the Tombow markers or the Memento markers, and those are water-based markers, like the Tim Holtz Distress markers. So those would be my picks if you want water-based markers. But if you want the alcohol markers that will blend really well, it really depends on your budget. If you are just getting your feet wet and you want a lot of colors for a little amount of money, go for your Bic markets and a few lighter colors. You could even go with Copics, or you could go with whatever brand you like. Prismacolor and Pro Marker both have brush tip markers now, and they're between $2 and $3 a pop, as opposed to $8 a pop, which the Copics are about $7 or $8 a piece. So consider those other brands. Prismacolors are beautiful, Pro Markers are beautiful, and they're less than half the price. And you may think, well, the Copics are refillable. Well, you get that $8 marker. Then you buy the $8 bottle of refill. Then you buy the nibs. You have to use those markers a lot to get that money back. And if you are an illustrator or an artist and you're going to use that a lot, then absolutely. But for the average crafter, you're probably never even going to run one dry. I've got a bunch of Copics and I've never run one dry. So keep that in mind. I've used Prismacolors and Pro Markers. They're very good. The Spectrum Noirs, they're coming out with a new design. I would wait a little bit before you order them. Make sure you get the new ones because they're going to be a little bit better. And they are going to offer a brush tip. But you can't go wrong with Pro Markers or Prismacolors. I think those are probably the best, bang for your buck.
Okay, Phyllis Cloman wants to know, is there a frugal way to refresh and to refill Copic colorless blender pens?
Denatured alcohol works perfect for that. The only word of caution is that do not spray apply that, because they actually use ethanol in Copics, I hear, and ethanol is like denatured alcohol but without that added poison, so people don't drink it. So otherwise you won't be able to sell bottles of denatured alcohol on the hardware store shelves because some punks could buy it and drink it.
Okay, and Barb Timmons asks, you told how to regenerate fabric paint pens. What will work on ink pads?
What I said last week about the paint pens was that you can try it. I was not guaranteeing results because it...
in actuality, you weren't very hopeful.
I wasn't very hopeful.
Yeah.
For fabric ink pads, I don't know. I've actually never used the fabric ink pads.
Me either.
So you could try denatured alcohol, but then again, that is at your own risk. I have not used them and I can't say for sure.
Okay, Lynn's asks, I have small cotton drawstring bags which I want to stamp an image on, then color with Inktense mediums. These will be filled with dried lavender. Can you please advise me on the best ink to stamp with, and whether painting the Inktense using aloe vera gel is a good way to prevent running? And as the pouches are for people with pain, so will need to be occasionally washed, will this be an issue if I use the Inktense, or do they hold fast after heat setting? Any advice you can give me, as always, will be fully received.
All right, what I would do, I would not use the aloe vera gel. I would use textile medium, and you can buy it at any store that sells acrylic paints. It's usually with like those little 2-ounce bottles of paints. I know Delta Ceramcoat makes one that I've used before, but pretty much any company that makes the craft paints in the bottles, not the tubes, will have a textile medium. So what you want to do is, I have a video on this. I did a little apron. Actually, the apron's right here. I'll show you this. That's with the Inktense pencils. There you go. And what I did was I actually stamped with acrylic paint. So I used a makeup sponge, like the little makeup wedgies, and I put black acrylic paint with a little textile medium in it, and I sponged that on the stamp and I stamped it, and you could fill in with a brush if you need to, and then let that dry completely. And I would heat set it just to be sure, and then spray the fabric with water and color it with your pencils, and then brush over it with the textile medium, rinsing between colors, and that will really lock it in. You'll need to mix the textile medium with some water to thin it down, and that is all in that tutorial. And I'll put a link below. Would you write that on there? I'll put a link on that to that tutorial so you can check it out and you can see the exact process. But you want to heat set it after you're all done, and it should wash fine with cold water. And, you might even want to make like a cover for it, though, if you are going to be washing it a lot. I think I would maybe decorate like a pillowcase and wash the pillowcase. But that's up to you. It should wash fine.
Henry Cruiser asks, can you recommend a good beginner set of watercolors with a medium price range, or tell me a good brand of starter set with maybe a few more than just the basic colors, and what basic brushes I would need to get started?
Okay, actually I'll grab my little travel set that I take around with me in the summer. This is this is a little set by Cotman, and it's well used. I'll hold that up there. You got 12 colors. And these are the colors that came with it, except I've, refilled them over the years. You can get Cotman in either pans or tubes. My other set, now this is probably, I think the retail on this is probably about $30, but I've seen it for much less. They even have this over at orientaltrading.com, and if you find it cheaper, they'll beat the price by 10%, and I'll put a link to that. And if you do shop over there, please tell them that Lindsay the Frugal Crafter sent you, because they've been sponsoring some of my mixed media videos for you guys. So they've been sending me supplies for those, so just as a thank you for their generous support. And there's also this set I have. It's also another Cotman set. And I can't tip it too far or this is all going to fall into my coffee. I dropped a hair curler in the toilet today. I'm having bad luck on this April Fool's Day, so I'm just going to gently lift it. And this has like 36 colors, and they're full pans rather than half pans. And you can buy the individual half pans if you don't want to squirt tube color in there. But that's the Cotman line, and I really like that because it's not very expensive, but it's made by Winsor & Newton. It's all high quality pigments, but it's just, made at a lower price point for beginner artists. Has a little bit more filler. It's not quite as vivid as the artist line, but it's very good paint. It doesn't crack in your palette like some of the student grade paints. If you squeeze it out in your palette, it'll kind of crack and break up. So it's very stable, well-made paint. So I would recommend that. And I'll put a link to Oriental Trading in the video description if you want to check that out. And tell them Lindsay sent you.
Okay, and he also asked for basic brushes.
Yes. Oh,
which you talked about before.
Yes, I did talk about before. Basically, I would go with a 1-inch wash, a number 6 round, a 1/2-inch wash, and then if you like to paint big and bold, get a number 10 round.
And what brand?
I like Aqualon by Royal and Langnickel, or Majestic by Royal and Langnickel, because they're great brushes at a great price. They're quite low priced.
And you said those are easily available at AC
Yep.
Moore
or online or wherever. Yep.
Okay, Maria asks, I would like to ask, what do you do when you run out of glue? Can you make some at home? She never runs out of glue. She has buckets of it.
Gallons. I can see 2 gallons of glue here, and I've got 25 pounds of hot glue sticks. I don't run out of glue. That's the thing. There are some products that I do not skimp on, and glue is one of them. I call them basic supplies because you can make everything with them. That would be like your glue, that would be like your paint, that would be like, your pastels, the things that are the basic core
Mod Podge
materials. Mod Podge,
so that you don't.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't run out of glue. Yeah, you gotta buy some glue. Buy some Mod Podge. Mod Podge works great as a glue and great as a decoupage medium and everything. That's what I recommend.
Okay, and Susie for him, what kind of handheld pencil sharpener do you use for Prismacolors and ebony drawing pencils?
I use this one right here. I'm trying to see if there's a made in Germany. I don't see a maker on this. There's, if you spend $4 or $5 on a pencil sharpener, a handheld one, it's probably going to be pretty decent. If you get one, if you look in here, the actual pencil sharpener is like a little silver, these little metal ones with removable blades. Look for those. Okay, it doesn't have to be a specific brand, but that's a good
And I know when I was asking you and talking about it, and you said $4 or $5, but I did go to AC Moore, and it's kind of closer to $7.
Oh, is
for
it?
that? Now. Okay. But again, you can use coupon on it. So,
exactly.
And Lindsay's had that for quite some time, and you can replace the blades. So.
Yep.
Okay, Vicky Hooper. Okay, Lindsay, I have a ton of those wooden pull-apart chopsticks, and you, being the crafty genius you are, must have some craft these can be used for. As always, happy crafting to you.
I actually went to a Chinese restaurant and asked for some for hair sticks, and so what I did is I had my husband chop them a little bit shorter and sanded them down, and then you can just drill a little hole in the end and put a little head pin in. You can dangle beads and all sorts of little things like that.
Or make paper beads to put that will fit over the top. I have some of the bigger kind of Pandora like beads I got. Exactly. I made them because I made my girls went as Geisha Girls last year for Halloween, and I did this Mayfa sticks, they're called actually, and I did some and used those beads fit right on the end of the chopsticks and put the curly ribbon for wrapping on the end of them. Yeah.
There you go. There, use your chopsticks.
Okay, any other ideas though?
I don't know, paint stirrers. Knitting needles and sand them smooth.
I'm thinking kind of, I don't know, you could kind of put different papers on them and stuff, and maybe, I don't know, do some kind of like a weave thing in a frame just for something, you know, Asian art kind of look, but nothing really amazing. Carrie is wondering if you know where I can purchase some rubber molds, the kind used for making mints for weddings and such.
Joann.com has a great selection, and they're about $2 a piece. Some are rubber, some are not rubber, they're silicone or plastic, but they're all food safe, so go check that out.
Okay, let's see, that was quick and easy. Shakina Freddy, can you show any landscape watercolor painting without sketching the basic picture, please?
Yes, I have a few on my YouTube channel. If you go on the watercolor playlist and you scroll through, you should be able to find it, or just go to my channel, click on the little magnifying glass, and type in landscape painting tutorial or watercolor landscape, and it should come right up.
Okay, 1979, Carmen's. Are you still using your microwave glass kiln? Would you say it was a worthy investment?
I'm not using it as much as I would if I was. See, the thing is, I tend to go in fits and spurts, and I make a bunch of stuff, and I try to sell it at a craft fair. It doesn't sell very well. I'm not all that motivated to make a bunch more of it. So I have a lot of pendants that are, you know, sitting lonely in a drawer right now, in the UFO drawer. But I think it's a good investment. I think because it does its job, and it's great for the bead maker that just wants to get their feet wet and, you know, not have a huge electric bill from a regular kiln, or invest in a regular kiln because it's like $100. So it's, you know, it's cheap considering, you know, $1,000 for a bead kiln. So yeah, I think it's a worthwhile investment. I haven't used it that much lately, but I will in the future, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's not going to spoil, and it's pretty small, and
just checking the time.
Are we okay?
I'll get about 2 minutes.
Okay, Lisa Riches asks, if my canvas panels say they are triple primed and ready to use, does that mean I don't need to put gesso on them?
That's what it means. You pretty much any canvas panel or canvas you buy in a store is ready to go. You don't need to gesso. I don't want everybody so crazy about gesso. They're gessoing things that don't need to be gessoed all over the place. I think it's like a magic potion, I think. But no, you do not need to gesso any canvases that are already prepared. Was that it?
Yes, oh my gosh. That was the last one, but I wanted to say, what did we see that was new with the kiln, the fire kiln? Wasn't it like molds or something?
Yes.
You could melt stuff too, so that makes it even cooler.
Yes, but I think, what was it? You had to, I'm trying to think if you actually put the molds in the kiln or not. It was weird. There was a weird, okay, at Hobby Lobby, they have the FuseWorks kiln that I have and a bunch of accessories, and they had some rubbery, some silicone molds that would, you'd use this glass powder with, and
we weren't sure of the process, but it was interesting.
Yes, it was interesting,
to say the least.
So you can make glass
You might
shapes.
want to check into that too to see if it makes it more, you know.
Yeah, and you can use your coupons at Hobby Lobby too, and they do. That's the one thing I do. I haven't been that crazy about that store, but I do like that they offer a variety of crafts. They have like stained glass and glass fusing and a resin and things like that that they don't have. They don't have the biggest selection of stamps, or I guess I couldn't have the biggest selection of anything since they have a little bit of everything.
They have so much of everything.
But
exactly.
But yeah, all right. Well, there. We did it in 20 minutes, less than 19 minutes. Look at that. We are a well-oiled machine. Well, that's it for us today. Please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. If you have a question, leave it below. If you didn't hear your question answered, then read the comments because I answered it there. So
or just yell at us and we'll answer it next week.
Sometimes we're only human. Sometimes we forget things. But thank you so much for watching. And until next time, happy crafting.